you guys, who I actually both know, have a really great case study that they did around how you can use blockchain technology, which I'll let them introduce, which Adam's company MadHive does, to actually prevent data fraud on Frank's technology, which is Beachfront Media, which is buying and selling digital ad sales or OTT ad sales. So I'll let you guys introduce yourselves and what your company, a little bit about what your company does, and then I'll start asking them questions about how this all works. So, Frank, take it away.
Is this working?
I think it's your own. If not, it'll be right. Yeah.
You're not?
Yes, sir.
Well, thanks, Alan. I've never heard you talk so loudly. We get everyone up. So Beachfront Media, we're a video SSP. So what we do is we buy and sell inventory, both through private marketplaces and open exchange. Been doing it for a good part of 10 years. OTT and CTV, we've been doing for the last 4 years, I want to say, so we're pretty experienced in the OTT space.
And Adam Helfgott, CEO of MadHive. We founded a couple of years ago to bring a new type of programmatic, I guess like the DSP and data management services to local television, and then bring that to a national footprint.
Okay, so you guys did this project now. You basically, MadHive's technology basically works with Beachfront to do something called data verification, right? And to sort of keep the data free from fraud. So let's just start off with that. What is data verification? What was the problem that was happening that you needed to solve with this? Let's start with that.
Sure. I mean, so what we've been finding, especially in OTTs, like, well, first of all, actually audience targeting OTT is something that's brand new. But what we're finding is basically people were transacting the audiences and just kind of believing that it was, believing on whatever segment was that was transacting. So what we wanted to do is actually provide a way to actually verify those audiences better and make it so it is actually recorded and can be looked at later on, so they can actually verify the audiences that they're buying. Right? So just from a basic buying media standpoint, we just wanted to deliver to the advertiser the audience that they want.
So basically the platforms were saying, okay, you're reaching these people, but take it on faith. And you were kind of coming in and going, no, you don't need to take it on faith, we're actually going to prove it. Is that accurate?
Yeah, we're like moving, like in the past or currently, everyone kind of guess, we're in the guess economy. Like how do we move everything to an evidence-based economy? And so how do we have evidence of everything that happens where we don't really need audits anymore, it's built into the transaction. So there's a bunch of technologies like real-time enrichment and things like that need to be developed in order to have that. And those are the programs we're working with Beachfront on.
Yeah, so if you look at the past 5 years, a lot of folks have been inventory fraud. So how can you apply vendors like White Ops? How do you eliminate inventory fraud, right? So for the most part, a lot of those problems have been worked on by a lot of different companies, and I wouldn't say 100% solved, because it's always a constant whack-a-mole. But there's a lot of technologies around that, but the area that there wasn't a lot of technologies around was what we call data fraud, or basically data verification. That's where we came up with MadHive, had a really robust solution around it.
Right, like the question is, if I'm buying an auto intender, even if I'm buying that from a third-party data vendor, how do I know when it was last refreshed? Is that information available in the bid request? Things like that. Is it when you're buying an auto intender list and there's 280 million Americans on it, that's kind of insane.
Yeah.
So how does a buyer actually get the quality they want for it? The CPMs on this stuff is pretty high. Data can be between $1 and $4 for per CPM additional cost, and is that really providing a lift? And that's where this comes in.
And particularly the reason why OTT was so relevant as well is because that's considered more premium inventory. So if you look at OTT environments, like being on the big screen of TV, people are paying premium CPM, so they want to ensure that they're actually delivering this audience they want.
Right, now was this something that you guys had noticed? Was happening to how happy to be 280 million auto intenders, or clients actually saying to you, hey Frank, this doesn't sound right, or sort of a combination, like where did that sort of initial need come from?
Yeah, over here it's something that comes up in meetings when, when we talk on the DSP side of our business is, that we like to expose. It's, instead of saying, hey, there's 280 million auto intenders, you're going to get all the scale you need. It's more like, hey, is that actually, where does that data come from? If it's Experian or Equifax or whoever it is, when was it refreshed? Where is it coming from? Can we actually give the buyer the ability to say, yeah, I love the idea how Experian makes up their data sets, but I just actually really only care about, people that, from like a Jiffy Lube, for example, if data comes from there. I only care about the users that come from that segment. And we're giving the opportunities to bid on the individual pieces that make up the data segment.
Okay. Now, can you explain, for the folks at home, just sort of how it works, like how the actual, like how you use the blockchain technology in order to do this, so so it's not just a magic.
Sure. I can go first. So blockchain there's two parts. Cryptography is really the major field, and blockchain is part of that's within the cryptography. Namespace. And a blockchain records things that are immutable, but if garbage is going into the blockchain, it's highly relevant. In fact, it's worse than we currently have today. So the first base of the technology is simple. It's basically putting like an SSL layer, similar that you would have in your browser when transacting with your credit card. Can we do that automatically with data behind the scenes? Can we have evidence of who did what is what, and have digital signatures all the way from the source providers of the data up to inside the bid request, inside Beachfront. And then once all that's wrapped up, that is what's put on the blockchain for auditing later.
Yeah, and it need to be something that the advertiser would buy into, right? So you need actually the entire supply chain bought into it. So it's important to actually provide value to the advertiser for this implementation. I like real world solutions, like everything we do actually needs to work and not just be some proof of concept.
Right.
So it's really important for us to get some advertiser buy-in that this is something that's valuable to them, right? And the feedback was yes, it looks valuable, and then actually be able to develop a solution that actually works.
Right. So I'm curious, how did the data companies react? Were they like, "Oh, thank you for cleaning our stuff up," or were they, kind of a little defensive about it because it needed to be cleaned up and they hadn't really acknowledged that?
Every data company we're working with or talking to is welcoming it with open arms, especially as other DSPs are starting to take model data and whether it's bid streaming, IAB content categories and things like that, and kind of mixing it together. It basically says, hey, we have this product, we put a lot of time and energy, it's our whole business, and here's proof that it was used to make a decision.
Yeah, I think it was relatively positive, considering like everything they had to do to get GDPR compliance. Right, so there's already a big wave of cleaning things up already that was going on. So there's been a huge focus for a lot of the past years. It's just sort of add on to that.
Okay, so that's good. So in their heads, this was actually a positive development. So here's a question that I get asked a lot when we talk about blockchain. Is like, could you did this need to happen on blockchain technology, or could you have created something like this, independently or not using? Like, what's the advantage of using any of blockchain technology on something like this?
The answer is, of course, this could be done without blockchain until you can't, right? Until there's the actual functionality of what we're talking about is not done on a blockchain. What the blockchain is used for is to have evidence and proof that we did the work we did do, and that it's uneditable, and that anyone that's a member of this network and expected to grow with data companies and whatnot can audit the behavior. For example, a consequence of what happens here is that instead of doing the recording, let's say with a third-party data company where it's self-reported, that data company can actually audit the blockchain and say, hey, you owe me this much money. And that's where the blockchain comes in, is on building applications on that data set in a private, compliant way.
Okay. And this all sort of lives online. It's sort of scattered across different computers so that nobody can sort of hack it. Is that how it works?
Yeah, there's a foundation called AdLedger, a nonprofit, where standards are developed. The 4 major holding companies, a bunch of brands, Tegna is a founding member, where we basically come up with the standards, and at some point we'll all be writing codes that basically capture this intelligence and allow the network in a secure manner to access their data.
And, is there a way to sort of work, you talking about GDPR, is there sort of a way to work privacy into this too, where, we can sort of take privacy concerns into the data that's being collected?
It's all very related for sure. It's very related. Like, so if you think about privacy, like how do you prove that you made the data private?
Right.
You kept it private, right? So it's all kind of related to this as well.
Yeah, one of the core problems we're solving at MadHive next to this is that how do we prove that something is something without revealing the underlying data? Using math really is that like how do I prove that this this bid, there's an experiment that Frank and I are talking about, is that can we actually remove the PII from the bid stream and sign it with the data, and then people are literally just buying audience, and there is no way to collect the data behind it and start modeling and auditing all the data from the publishers.
Yeah, that's huge. When we talk to publishers, that's usually the number one concern about working with any third-party vendor is like, all right, what are you gonna do with my data? Like, are you, because of course, like the ask is like, all right, we need IP address and this, that, and the other thing for data. And then always the question is like, what are you gonna do with it? Who's it gonna go to? And then it's kind of like, okay, we'll give you some of that, and we'll trust you, right? So this solution, sort of going forward, what we're hoping is, from a publisher standpoint, it really helps you secure their data, so there's not a huge amount of data leakage, right? So, because that's very valuable to the publisher. Publisher, of course, has their content, and then they have their audience, right? It's their audience, so they should own it, and not have to give up all that data every time they want to serve an ad.
Or it creates opportunities where they can actually monetize the data elsewhere in a network and things like that. It kind of just switches the model around.
So then how would that work for them to monetize it elsewhere? It's basically they're saying, here's our audience, there's no PII, and PII means personally identifiable information, which is basically the way they can track it back to an actual person. So and then it's just like, here's a bunch of data about people who subscribe to a sports magazine or whatever it is, or people who watch this particular network, and then you can use that for advertising? Like, how would that actually play out?
Yeah, they can sell their user data, so it gives them a lot more power to be able to do that. So it's never been given away before, but now they can package it out the way they want to.
Right. Or a lot of times the people in the middle are mining the bid stream for data and selling segments off that, and now here's a way for the publishers to be part of that stream.
And so you think we'll start, especially as we start seeing more sort of addressable and things like that, so that seems like it'd be a big area where people are looking to hit specific targets. Is that sort of what you all are thinking?
Absolutely, yeah. So as it relates to linear TV, absolutely. Like, so right now, like, we're currently in beta with a pretty large MVPD to make their inventory available programmatically. And the only way to do that is to be able to expose some data, such as IP address and some content information, right? So, but they want to ensure that it's secure, right? There's a lot of regulations around ACR data, et cetera. So how do we do that in a secure way, where, you know, programmatically we can still target off that data, but not have to give up all that data to everybody, basically.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it starts to drive comfort from, you know, the major broadcasters into going in more automatic programmatic pipes.
Right. Now, one thing I suspect people will have some questions from the audience. You talk about Experian and things like that. I mean, do you think right now? I know when I tell people who don't work in the industry, when you buy stuff with your credit card, that gets shared. Maybe they don't know it's you. Do you think like we'll ever start seeing real pushback on that as people kind of start understanding how that works? Or is there a way to spin it where it's just like they're not, it's not as invasive as it sounds?
I don't think we'll ever really experience that much pushback. I think privacy on that level is largely ignored by the public. It'd be nice if it wasn't to a degree, but there's, in the hierarchy of needs of what I'm worried about, I prefer to get the coupon and give up my data, right? But what we see happening in like a target state in the future is that can an automatic system like this manage my preferences as where I understand how my data is being used in the ecosystem, where maybe, I can have a preference that, hey, I don't want the fact that, I'm on a diet to be used by, a fast food company to give me an ad, which is, where we are today, and I can manage that as a consumer in the future.
Right. I mean, do you see a situation where people could be sort of basically agreeing to trade their data, either for money, but in other words, like, instead of paying $15 a month for the subscription, I will give you a certain amount, give you access to a certain amount of data, or allow you to track my viewing somehow, without it being attached directly to me. In other words, my PII isn't there, but I feel comfortable enough with the way this blockchain works that I'll do this.
Yeah, I mean, so I've looked at a ton of blockchain companies over the past year and a half, and there's definitely some blockchain companies that are doing that, where they give like an app where you can hold your data, and then you can actually give it up and get points for giving that data to a certain advertiser, right? So there's different models there. I mean, like, the question is like, is there going to be consumer adoption of that? Right? So that's a tough thing, but it's definitely, there's something to be said about that, where you have better control over it, and you could like, give it up for something if you want to, or just not give your data at all, right? So, but yeah, I think that's pretty far off to having like, huge like consumer penetration for that type of thing, but it's definitely something that we've seen out there.
Yeah, I've seen some. I'm skeptical of a lot of those solutions. It's in the sense where the most valuable data that you see out there are people that want to buy high value items, and most people aren't in those cohorts, and those are the people that want to get paid for their data. So there's an imbalance of the valuable data versus the not valuable data, and it makes it hard for those models to actually scale. Right.
I've also had an ad buyer say to me, that's a different psychological profile, almost to like when you have the people in this subset who are like, yes, I'll give you my data. It's like, okay, you're kind of different than everyone else. But just also, since you're the thick of it, I mean, I think people would find it interesting. What other uses of blockchain do see in the media advertising ecosystem? Like what stuff are you working on, or do you see other companies in the Ad Ledger consortium working on that you think are sort of up and coming, or definitely worth keeping in mind, keeping an eye on?
I mean, the two that we've seen there, obviously, this agreement with MadHive, but we've also seen the way to manage discrepancies, right? So that's an interesting use case. I think it's very applicable. I think around 3 to 8, typical discrepancies from publisher to advertiser is 3 to 8%. So if you think about losing like 8% of your revenue because of discrepancies, that's actually pretty huge if you're a large publisher. So yeah, there's that. It's a lot of people talk about like fraud, like limiting inventory fraud. We're not as bullish on that. It's because for the scale, real-time reasons that are not really applicable. I see some okay things out there, but nothing that would sort of like be available in a RTB type environment. But I think the discrepancy one, where it's like a post-delivery reporting, is an interesting one as well.
Yeah, besides the kind of tightening everything up in the existing ecosystem that we're kind of saying like a programmatic 2.0 that we talked about here, what we're excited about is, when we have a clear supply chain of data and privacy, can we start moving the ad decision towards the edge, right? Can we start having the actual device to create the ad opportunity there based on data that's held locally? That could be more and more private.
What do you mean by towards the edge?
So the edge being like the actual television set itself, and having software in there, which is where we're, right now all the apps are there. The apps are, basically divulging tons of information, but also if I can keep data private inside of my network, I would divulge more data to it. And, and that feeds GDPR and a whole bunch of other things. And so, that's a longer term project, but that's what we're looking at.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to open it up to you guys for questions. Tim has the magic cube.
I don't.
No, you don't. Okay, but he's got. I will give him my microphone.
Different mic, that's okay, cool.
No. Oh wait, there the cube has reappeared. Okay, so here's your chance.
This may be a softball, but it feels to me that a lot of what you've just described is certainly applicable to digital media, right? Inclusive of digital video, inclusive arguably of OTT video, et cetera. But I would imagine, and I've heard this for the handful of people who actually can have this conversation in the television realm, that the TV part of it, linear TV in particular, not necessarily a huge priority for us because we are already fraud-free. We're already, we've got a fairly efficient system, albeit somewhat inefficient, right? I guess my question is, how relevant is what you've described to the more linear and traditional television business? I think there are some places, but it seems to me like it could be an easy, talk to the hand to a television person at this point versus, say, digital media infrastructure for you guys. Make sense?
Sure. I think you're 100% on. Me personally, I've been learning and trying to understand linear and the business model and the sales models and how it's traded and how it works. Having recognizing fraud or having discrepancies, all that stuff doesn't exist, right? It's a different set of problems. And on from the point of view of I think on accounting and on contracts and things like that, you can guarantee things, but there's a lot of work to be done. I mean, just the systems are very legacy to a point, integrating them in. But yeah, I think that's when you think about blockchain as a foundational technology to transfer value, and it's really something I say a lot. It's like saying the word transistor. You have to build an architecture around it to solve a problem. And it's going to take time for the understanding of what this technology can do and integrate it into engineering projects.
I think the real question there is how much TV will actually be transacted programmatically.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where this really becomes interesting. So we're going through this right now actually with a large MVPD And you know, like, it can't be transacted programmatically unless you share IP address, right? So how do you secure that, right? So we're actually currently talking about that and like how we're going to do that, initially using blockchain to help, you know, ensure privacy, right? So yeah, I think it is applicable, but it just depends like how fast TV actually starts becoming programmatic.
And I'm just curious, so when you talk about privacy, what you're doing here, would you be able to do this under the GDPR rules?
Yeah, it depends on what winds up happening here with the California laws and things like that. You know, the idea to have consent and then manage that consent across the process is, you know, going to be an issue. But you know, at AdLedger, we created a product that allows you to manage and prove to, you know, a legislative body that you actually took the steps to ensure consent. You know, so things like that.